Let's go! Continuing on our learn full stack engineering for your business. And the last, oh yes, it's loading. Hurry up. Where were we on typography, or did we already do that? I'm sure we did typography already. We did not? We didn't complete it? Alright, I guess that's what we'll do then. Okay, so we're going to be working on typography. This is the recommended reading. Let me send that to you in the chat below, or wherever it is. You can buy that book if you want. Read chapter 12, and then we will work on a project. Yeah! So today is a Sunday. What is a Sunday without Codecademy? Alright, so the objective is to improve styling with CSS by focusing on typography. Why doesn't this delete? Anyways, Oif Conlevy is a novelist who has been writing about her travels for nearly 2 decades. Before the launch of her new novel, Tide Blade, which features the stories of real-life characters in Morocco, the author wants to spruce up her professional website. You'll modify the typography on her site, changing the size, style, and font families to make the page easier to read. Using your understanding of typography, help Oif Conlevy improve the readability of her site for her readers. Is it not readable? Looks readable to me, but I guess we'll see what a better practice is. So step 1. The header section of Oif Conlevy's site contains the author's name along with the text Travels, fiction and contact. Okay, so this is a header. Change the font weight of the header so that the text appears bold. Change the font weight of the header. Change the font weight of the header so that the text appears bold. Okay, bold will make it more readable. The class header. So we're going to go to style.css, look for their header, add in the font weight property and change and set that to bold. And let's see the change. It looks better, I guess. And the next step, moving down the page, the banner section contains a stunning image, 2 blocks of text, an H2 tag with the text December 20XX, and an H1 tag with the text Morocco. Give the H2 tag a font weight of 500, and H1 tag a font weight of 900. Okay, so it's under the banner class, and the H2 and H1, so that we can set H1 and H2 at the banner class with a font weight. A font weight of what? For H2 is 500. For H1, it's 900. And does that look better? Quite a bit. Okay, after reviewing the project, the author suggests that line height seems a bit off and needs to be altered throughout the page. Work down the page and set line height of the following page elements as recommended. The line height. I don't remember what a line height is, but I guess we'll find out. So we are looking at the paragraph within the journal. So is there something called a journal here? There's nothing called a journal. Where's the journal? Oh, there's a journal class here. Journal. First photo image. A convoy of camels crisscrossing. Oh, a convoy of camels. That's how you describe a group of camels. Okay, so this is the journal. The paragraph within the journal section should have a line height of 1.4 times the font size. So I'm guessing everything in journal, the class journal, which should be under banner, should have a line height of 1.4. Does that work? Yep, it looks more spaced out. The first letter of the journal section should have a line height of 0.87. 0.87. The first letter, so it's this thing, that first letter. I don't know what that is called, but let me look here. Let me see how they separated that I. Okay. First letter, they called it first letter. They called it a first letter. They call it a first letter. Right, it's called first letter, so I'm looking for first letter. I was looking for span, but that's not here. So let me see where first letter is. Okay, it's under journal and it's called first letter class. And we want to set the line height to be 1.4 times the font size. So let's see. I think it's a little bit smaller. The first letter of the journal. Oh no, it should be 0.87. Looking at the wrong line. Whoa, it moved to the top. Cool. So the quote should have a line height of 1.2 times the font size. Where's their quote? What is their quote they're talking about? Navigating by night is always easier. Okay, so I guess we'll just look for quote. Add a line height. Oh no. A line height of 1.2. I don't see anything changed. But I guess it shouldn't be that much of a difference. Oh, they were talking about this one. I don't remember what it was before, but guessing that was the change. And now the footer content should have a line height of 1.5. So let's add the line height of 1.5, and let's see. Looks more spaced out and more readable. Great! It can be set as a ratio when no units are supplied with its value. For instance, to set a line height of the 2 times the font size, you can use a rule like this. Okay, so this is a ratio. The site currently uses common serif and sans serif fonts found on users' computer. Since the author first published the site, a number of new font libraries have created fonts that you think will be a better fit for the site. The site currently uses common serif and sans serif fonts found on users' computers. Since the author first published the site, a number of new font libraries have created fonts that you think would be better fit for the site. Using Google Fonts API, add the following fonts of the index.html file. Abril Fatface. Abril. And all of these, you may either link these fonts in a single link tag or 3 separate link tags. I need help. I don't know how to do this. Select the 3 fonts and the correct weights from the API. I guess we have to go look at these fonts, and then what? Tag in the header. Use the provided link tag in the header to link the fonts to your page. Okay, where's the link tag? Does that mean we create a new link? I'm not sure how this one works. I don't know how this one works. I need help! I'm going to skip this one for now and come back to it later. Wait a minute, let me see. Abril Fatface. Let's look for Abril Fatface here. And so this, we can click this one. And then, is there some kind of link they gave us? Or no? Select this style. Oh, here it is. You can just copy. I'm guessing you can copy this link. Do you have to use both of them? Let's see if it works. This is the Abril Fatface. And let's see if this is what we add. And then we want, wait, and then we also copy the CSS rules that we would use sometimes in the style.css. They didn't say where we are going to use it, so I'm just going to paste it at the top for our later reference. Oh, there's no such thing as comment. Where can I save it? Let me just put it here. Now let me just put it here for now, temporarily. And I guess we look for the rest of them. Font face. Oh great, how do we use this? Okay, we go back to the fonts, we search for what we want, and they said we want it to have a font weight of 400, 500, and 800. Okay, so just let me type in 400, no wait, font width, width of 400. You know what? Let me just leave that out for now. Let me just click on designed by Wei Hong. Wow. Anyways, font width. Oh, font width. Are they talking about this thing? 400, 400, 500, and 800. I'm guessing they mean this one. Add. Oh, I can add multiple at one time. And 400, 500, 800. 400, 500. Whoa. I'm selecting multiple. And now, let's see where 800 is. Whoa. Whoa, okay. Okay, I selected everything I want. Now where... Oh no, where's the thing? That shows us where we could copy the link. How did I get there before? How did I get there before? Anyways, I don't remember how I got there, so let me just get back to that one later. Come back. So the next step, you can now use this newly added fonts from Google Fonts within our projects. Moving down the page again, set the font family and property as recommended. Set the typeface of the H2 tag in the banner. You know what? This depends on the previous step. So let me also leave that out. But basically they want us to use whatever we imported, we were supposed to import as a style. But I didn't import it because I don't know how to get that link. Anyways. That page looks great, but you also have to account for users who may not be able to access the Google Fonts. Find them several fallback fonts to use in case they are restricted from accessing fonts from a third party. Okay, that's cool. So that's like me. I couldn't access because I don't know how to. So then I would use a fallback font for the H2 tag. I'm just going to cut this out because I don't want that. I mean, because that's not the right place. So our backup plan is to set H2 in the banner section, which is right here, to have a font family of Arial and Sans serif. Okay, so there's Arial and there's sans serif. Then in the H1 tag of the banner sections, we just want sans serif. The journal section should just be serif. And the photo caption as well. Is this the photo caption or is this the photo caption? I'm guessing this is the photo caption. Font family of serif. Alright, so I should be done with that step. Let's see if there's any changes. I don't remember what font looks like what font, but I'm guessing that worked. Instead of linking the font from index.html, you realize it will be better to import Google Fonts in the files directly into style sheets with the add font face property. Use the add font face property to import the fonts directly to the style sheet and remove the link tags that reference the Google fonts from the index.html page. Copy this add font face rule. They had a font face rule. They have a font face rule section. I don't see that. Anyways, we'll look at the solutions later. Looking at the page, the author suggests the page really come together if we use a specific font, croissant 1 regular TTF in the footer. The files have been downloaded and added to our project within the fonts directory. Wow, we have a fonts directory. What the, oh, we cannot read that. But I guess we could just use it and it'll work. To complete the task, you need to use the add font face property to make these fonts accessible in the styles. You name the font croissant 1. To use a font, you'll need to set the font family and source properties. To use source, remember that you need the URL function with a relative path. In this case, your relative path is in the fonts directory, so setting its path would look something like this. So I'm guessing inside of our styles, because we want it accessible in the style sheet, so we want to add it to the styles, and I think we would import it like how they did here, at font face with source URL, and the relative path would be, where was it located? It was in their current directory. Is this outside? Oh yes, they're all part of the styles directory. So they have to go into the fonts, and then their croissant 1 regular.tff. I wonder if we have to change this one when they say name the font croissant 1. But the relative path would be fonts, and then the file name was, what was the file name? It was called croissant 1 croissant 1 dash regular dot TF. It looks like that. So I'm not sure if I have to change that to croissant 1 because they said to name the font. Now that you have an add font face, we'll set the font family property of the footer to croissant 1. Yeah, I'm not sure where I should put the croissant 1. So let's just watch their video. Which will show us.
Hey guys, I'm Matt, a developer. This is OutSystems, the most complete full-stack application development platform for professional developers. Quickly create from Ohio. And in this video, I'll be walking you through the typography project. To complete this project, we need to be familiar with selectors, attributes, and style sheet linking. Let's get started. In this project, we'll use CSS rules to improve the readability and visual appeal of an existing web page. As the project name suggests, we'll focus on typography. We'll change various font attributes and also import several typefaces with a variety of methods.
First, let's take a look at the header section of the page. We're going to change the font weight of this section. In style.css, we'll find the .header class selector and...
Wait a minute, can you hear the video? Or is there an echo?
add the font weight attribute, and then we'll set it to bold. So we'll set font weight bold. Save your code, you should see that the page title and navigation items in the header are bolded. Even though we didn't select these items individually, they inherited the font weight from their parent element. Font weight can also be set to a number, which gives us more precise control than just bold or normal. We're going to use this on the December 20XX Morocco headings in the banner section. A higher number is more bold than a lower number, so let's set the banner H2 to 500 and the banner H1 to 900. So here at the H2, we'll set font weight to 500, and in the H1, we'll set font weight to 900. Often a good idea to make higher tier headings more bold, in addition to making them larger, higher up on the page, etc. These are all tools in the CSS toolbox that you can use to emphasize hierarchy. Below the banner section, we have the journal section. Take a look at how close the bottom of one line of text is to the top of the next line. In a text editor like Word or Docs, you would use a setting like single spacing or double spacing to control this. In CSS, this is called line height, and it works exactly the same way. A line height of 1 is single spacing, and a line height of 2 is double spacing. In Task 3's instruction, we're given 4 line heights to apply to 4 sections. We'll find the relevant selectors, add the line height attribute, and set it according to the instruction. So here, in Journal P, we'll set line height to 1.4. In first letter, we'll set line height to 0.87. In quote, we'll set line height to 1.2. And in footer, we'll set line height to 1.5. This page is starting to look easier to read, but it could do with some style. Right now we're only using web-safe fonts, which are fonts that are pretty much guaranteed to be installed on a user's computer. You can use a service like CSS Font Stack to check for web-safe fonts. For example, our page uses Verdana, which is available to over 99% of users. But what if we want to use a typeface that isn't on this list? Or what if we don't want to chance that less than 1%? The only sure way is to import our own fonts. They'll get loaded on the page just like images or any other content, so all users will be able to see whichever font we want to use. There are a few ways to import fonts. One popular option is Google Fonts. We're going to use Google Fonts to import the 3 fonts described in Task 4's instruction. First is Abril Fatface. Let's type that in the search bar. If we click on the plus symbol for this font, it'll show up in our selection, which is accessible in this menu that says One Family Selected. Let's do the same for Work Sans and Merriweather. So we'll just type that in, Work Sans, edit, and then we'll type in Merriweather and add that as well. Now, we need to go to the Customize tab in the selection menu. Here, we can pick which font weights we want to use. These are the same numbers we used in task 2 to set the font weight. For Merriweather, we need regular 400 and regular 400 italic. For Worksons, we need regular 400, medium 500, and extra bold 800.
How come I didn't have that? Where do I find that? Whoa, 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 that's, what did I click? How did I get here? Whoa. That's all I had to click. This little thing in the right corner. And then, no, wait a minute. Will this give me the Worksons? Oh, Worksons is here. So let's see. What else did I have to add as well? There is Merriweather. Merriweather. Which I can search for here. Merriweather. And it was just Merriweather, not Sans. And what was it? Was there a specific specification? No specification. No, wait a minute. Yes, here it is. SB 400 and 400 italic. Two types. So 400 and 400 italic. Select this style. Select this style. Oh yes, look. They added it. Alright. Cool. Okay. So, what did they do next?
Note that the load time has gone up to slow. It's important to only import the weights and styles that you intend to use. If you import every weight and style, the web page will take a really long time to load. Anyway, let's go back to the Embed tab and copy this link shown under Standard. We'll paste this link tag in the header of index.html. It should go before the style sheet link because the style sheet will use fonts from it.
Oh, it has to go before. I did not know that. So let me copy this one. And let me see.
And that was the style sheet link because the style sheet will use fonts from it.
Yes, and wait a minute. They only pasted in one link tag. What did I copy? In the index page, I pasted two of them, and it was after the style sheets. Why is there so many style sheets? Let me delete one of them, because that one, the second one, is a duplicate. Okay, let me delete that, and it has to be before. So let me paste this right here that I just copied from from Google Fonts. They didn't add that thing. Or did they? I'm wondering if that they only have one because that's the older way. So I'm just going to leave those two link tags in. Alright.
Now that we've imported some fonts, we can apply them to various elements with the font family attribute. Task 5's instruction tells us which elements to change. Here under banner H2, for example, we'll set font family to Worksons. Keep in mind that this has to be in quotes like this, because it's a string and not some sort of other property or keyword. Banner H1, we're going to set font family to Abril Fatface. Journal, we will set also to Worksons. And photo, we'll set to Merriweather. Great, the page shows the imported fonts. One last thing we should do is add fallback fonts. It's a sort of just-in-case thing. If, for example, the Google Fonts service is down for a few hours, the browser will try to render the fallback font. We can add as many fallbacks as we want, but it's always a good idea to end with a generic keyword like serif, because these can't fail. Task 6 tells us which fallbacks to use, so let's go back and add them in. Here in Banner H2, we're going to add the fallback of Arial,
Oh, that's how
and
you
then
like
the fallback of sans serif. What's going to happen here is if work sans fails, we'll fall back to Arial and then to sans serif. For banner H1, we'll also add the fallback of sans serif, and what this means is that we're just going to be using a font that doesn't have any serifs. Serifs are just these little notches that come off of the letters. So this font Morocco does have serifs, but this font December 20XX doesn't have serifs, so it's a sans serif font. For journal, we'll fall back to a serifed font, and for photo, we'll also fall back to a serifed font. Our fonts are imported, used, and they even have fallbacks in case something goes wrong. Is there any other way we can improve? Well, a few tasks ago, I said that there's more than one way to import a font. Let's take another look at our linked fonts from Google. There's a URL here. This links to a style sheet provided to us by Google Fonts. If we copy and paste it, we can actually read that style sheet. This is what that style sheet looks like. Note that Google is using the @fontface rule to import each font. The rules that are labeled Latin are the ones we need to render Latin characters and numbers on the site. There's no reason we can't cut out the middleman and just use @fontface in our own style sheet, especially because we only need 3 of these rules. The page will even load a bit faster because we're using fewer imports. Let's copy and paste the relevant styles into our style sheet. So for example, we'll get this Abril Fatface style by copying this under Latin and pasting it into our CSS document.
Wow.
I've gone ahead and done this off camera since it's just copy and pasting. One thing to note is that you need to make sure to include the font weights in each rule. If you save your code, and if you did everything correctly, the page should look no different, but we know it's a bit better under the hood. You won't need to do this for most sites, as the optimization is pretty small with only a handful of fonts, but what we did was a great way to take a peek at what's happening behind the curtain. Understanding how to use FontFace in your own style sheet is important because it's good for more than just Google Fonts. We're going to use it here in Task 8 to import a font from a file. Let's start by defining a new FontFace rule. We do that with @font-face and then curly braces. This font needs a name. This will be what we write for the value of font family for the element that we want to have this font. It's easy to remember the attribute for naming a font face because it's also font family. We'll name it Croissant1. So font family, and then in quotation marks, Croissant1. If you click on the folder icon at the top left corner of the editor, you can find the font file in the fonts folder. We can use the source attribute to link to fonts/croissant1regular.ttf. We'll need to use the URL function here, just like we would when including a background image. So that'll be source set to URL, and then in parentheses the path, which is fonts/croissant1regular.ttf. And that's all that goes into this font face rule. It's a lot shorter than the others we've used. Just like any rule, you can be more or less specific when applying attributes. Finally, let's apply Croissant1 to the footer. We'll have Merriweather and Serif as fallbacks. So here, we'll set font family to Croissant1, fallback of Merriweather, and a second fallback of Serif. Project, we used CSS font styling attributes, like font weight and line height, to improve the readability of an existing web page. We also used Google Fonts to import new typefaces, explore different ways of accessing and optimizing those imports, and use the same techniques to import a font from a file. A lot goes into styling typography and web design, and rightfully so, as the majority of what you see on the web is text. I'm Matt for Codecademy. Happy.
Alright. Let me see what I remember. Okay, so we were up to the part where we linked in Google Fonts API. So this one should be done. Now the next step is to use what we linked in So how would we do that? It says we want to use the newly added fonts from Google Fonts within our projects. Then moving down the page again, set the font family and property as recommended. So set the typeface of H2 tag in the banner section. Where is the banner section? Banner, H2 tag. That's where it is. And oh yes, these were the fallbacks that we added in before. And initially we wanted to use what we wanted to use, which is the work fonts that we added in from Google Fonts. And then for H1 of the banner, that's where we wanted to use a Brill fat face. And that was the fallback that we added before. We skipped this step. And then the typeface of the journal section. The journal section, which was right here. Oh yes, we added one fallback here earlier as well. No, this one should be work sons. And then for the photo, was it this one or was it the photo caption? Yeah, it was for photo caption. Oh yeah, it says right here, photo captions. And we wanted to add a Merriweather as the initial font that we wanted to use. So that comes before the fallback sheriff. And now I think that step 5 is now done. Yup, so step 6. The page looks great. But you also have to account for users who may not be able to access the Google Fonts. Find them several fallback fonts to use in case they are restricted from accessing fonts from a third party. Yes, we did this step. And then now for step 7, instead of linking the font from index.html, you realize it would be better to import Google Fonts into files directly into style sheets with the add font face property. Use the add face property to import the fonts directly to the style sheets and remove the link tags that reference the Google Fonts from the index.html page. Okay, so they were saying that this is a link that we could go to. Control click. Okay, control click. And then, oh, yep, that's what they had earlier. And it was, why is there 2? Was there 2 they said? Let me go back and see what they wanted. They didn't say anything specific about a Brill fat face. So let me just copy any one of this. Wait a minute, they also said something about copy and paste the add font face rule from the /Latin section of the rule set at the href of the font from Google. Include the Latin section for each font and font weight that you need. Wait, let me go back and see how they did it.
There's no reason we can't cut out the middleman and just use @fontface in our own style sheet, especially because we only need 3 of these rules. The page will even load a bit faster because we're using fewer imports. Let's copy and paste the relevant styles into our style sheet. So for example, we'll get this Abril fatface style by copying this under Latin and pasting it into our CSS document.
Okay, so he didn't include that comment. He just did that, and he just went all the way up to here, and then copy, paste into the style sheets. I'm going to need that later. And then what else? What else do we need? Work sans in the font phase 400, 500, and 800. Work sans is all the way at the bottom because it's in alphabetical order by font family. 400, here's 400. The one under Latin, not the Latin EXT. All a bunch of copy, paste, copy, paste. Work sans, that's work sans 400. Now I need 500. Vietnamese. Oh, they have it in different language. Oh, that's why it's taking long. Oh, and we're using the one in Latin. Oh. Okay, so 400, 500 under Latin. $400, 500, and then there's 800. Also under the Latin. Wow. So that's why it speeds it up. Now we want it in Merriweather 400 and 400 italic. Under Latin. Wow, there's only italic. It only comes in italic. Oh, here's the normal one. No, wait. Oh, the normal one is on the bottom. So that's Merriweather, normal 400. And then there's gonna be Merriweather 400 italic under Latin. Here it is. And then finally we're done. Now which one was it? Where are we up to? This one we did already. We were up to step 7, and we imported the Google Fonts into the files directly into style sheets with the font face property. Use the font face property to import the fonts directly to the style sheets and remove the link tags that reference to Google Fonts. Okay, so we could delete this link here in the index.html now. I'm going to comment that one out. And then what? So we did that. Now we want to use what we imported. And that is when we use the one that we have stored in our directory here under styles, fonts, directory. Okay, so where was it that I added the font face for? Okay, so all I had to do was to specify the name font by saying by adding this property font family, just like how they did it in here. And it's called croissant 1. And now when I want to use this, where they said we want to use it for the footer. The footer, where's the footer? Footer should be at the bottom. There it is. Footer, 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 footer. I'm guessing we could just add it right here. We want a font family, this one, just like how they written the rules said right here. and we're going to use the croissant one that we imported in from earlier, and then Merriweather, and then serif is the fallback font. Okay, so let's see. Let's look at the footer changes. So this is what the footer looks like first, and then when we save our changes, this is what the footer looks like now. I think I can see it's less italicized. It's a different type of italicized. Alright, now, so that was our typography project where we learned how to, well, I learned how to use this font face and add Google APIs and even speed up the process so that there's a faster loading time, because that's what people care about. That's what software engineers care about, the loading time for users. Alright. Thank you for riding with me. See y'all in the next stream.